Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. Welcome to edition 56 of the Food Safety Fridays webinar program. Today we have Vladimir Suchinsky from Quality Austria Centre, and Vladimir is going to be talking about audits, assessing suppliers through routine and non-routine audits. So we're really looking forward to that. Sponsors, as I do every week, Trace Analytics, Metal 360 and FSSC 22000. These kind of sponsors have sponsored the program this year that allow you to get education at regular intervals and a free certificate of attendance. So thanks very much to the sponsors. Today's webinar will be recorded. We do follow up afterwards with the slides, the webinar recording video, the certificate and everything. So if you do miss a bit today or get called away, not to worry, it will all be sent to you within 24 hours by email. Okay, I'll just head over to Vladimir at this point. Welcome, Vladimir. Good to have you with us again.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Yeah, we've got a good audience for you today. We've got just short of 1,000, so hopefully you're not nervous.
Nice. I'm not nervous. I'm ready.
Good, you're ready. Well, we're ready for you. We're looking forward to your presentation. I'm just going to talk about some upcoming events we've got. If you can get your PowerPoint ready, Vladimir, okay, please. Okay, what I want to do, ladies and gentlemen, now is just show you what we've got coming up in a little while. Hopefully you can see that slide. Actually, let me just go back a few slides. I should have started it from the beginning. I'm very sorry. Right. Food Safety Live. Once a year, we have, you know, like we have these webinars today, and it's just 1 hour, some education, a PowerPoint, and some Q&A. Well, on September the 14th, we're having a full day of educational webinars and debates, etc. So that's on the 14th of September. And what you can do is you can actually, if I load that in the sidebar, you can register for that directly from the sidebar. You should be able to see it. If you click the Register Now button, it'll open a new window, and so you won't be lost. So you can click that Register Now button while I'm talking, and then you can register. Just put your name and email in. So on that day, we have several presentations. We've got Nailing Non-Conformances, a guide to investigation and prevention. That's Amanda Evans from Hassett Mentor. Kaizen with Yasser Mohammed. Common adulterates in food and their detection, Ruth Bell. How to achieve product quality improvement in the dairy industry, Tony Connor. And then we've got the results of our hairnet competition. If anybody submitted a photograph of themselves wearing a hairnet in a creative way, that competition ended yesterday, and we'll be announcing the winners at Food Safety Live. And the winner of that competition gets $1,000, a t-shirt and a trophy. Then we're back onto the presentations, what to do after a product recall withdrawal with Patrick Bailey, communicating change to boost the adoption of food safety plans with Britta Ball, hazard analysis for food packaging manufacturing with Thomas Dunn, want to validate your metal detector, now what, with Robert Rogers. Then the ingredients of an effective food safety training program with David Rosenblatt. And finally, we've got a big debate with a panel, live debate with experts from FSSC 22000, from SQF, from lots of different prestigious organizations, where we'll be talking about food safety culture, the Food Safety Modernization Act, and lots of other great stuff. And you'll be able to put your questions to these speakers. So hopefully you will sign up for that. It's free to attend. Like I say, it's probably 10 hours in all. If you do register, you don't have to watch it all live. You'll get the recording, so you can dip in and out of it. But if you don't register, you won't receive the emails. So please do register. And also, as a bonus, for every one of those presentations that's conducted on the day, you will receive a training certificate. So Should be a fantastic day. So that's September the 14th, Food Safety Live. Okay. Right, I think we're ready to head over to Vladimir for his presentation now. There are a couple of polls there that you can interact with, and we'll be back for some Q&A later on. So for now, over to Vladimir.
Okay, thank you, Simon. And again, to all you, hello and nice to be here with you today. And thank you all food safety friends for logging into this presentation, and thank you IFSQM for this great opportunity, giving all of us place to share and to learn. And of course, thank you, Simon, for being our host for this great Food Safety Friday webinars. I'm really, anxious to continue, because this is more than 1,000 participants, and the topic is very interesting, and it's assessing suppliers through routine and non-routine audits. So today, practically with you, lots of you already know me from previous webinars and forums, but for you who don't, my name is Vladimir Sovchinsky. I'm sanitary and environmental engineer and specialist in food safety. I started working for the Deleuze retail company in 2010 as a quality associate, later as a quality and sustainability associate, responsible for more than 500 food safety audits and trained more than 1,000 employees. Later, I worked as a food safety operation associate, where I have developed food safety store auditing web tool, and also I was responsible for 3 countries at that time and more than 300 stores. In 2014, I started working for Quality Austria as an auditor and also trainer, but primarily focused on food safety. And with IFSQN, we started presenting from 2015, also food safety webinars, and continue in 2016. And from this year also, I'm present and as lecturer associate for sanitary engineering on Higher Medical School of Professional Studies. So regarding Quality Austria, it was founded as a limited company for training, certification, and evaluation in 2004. It has close relationship with the partner organizations like IQNet, IQ, AFQM, and it enables the mutual exchange of topical and global know-how. It has 50 partner and member organizations, own offices, and exclusive partners. And Quality Austria is also represented on site in Eastern and Southeastern and South Europe, Asia, as well as in South and Central America. So Quality Austria Center is a regional partner located in Belgrade, in Serbia, and also responsible for countries like Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Croatia, etc. Quality Austria covers the 3 business areas, practically of certification, evaluation, and validation, provides trainings and individual certification, as well as information, expert knowledge, and service. It has more than 1,000 auditors, trainers, and assessors, and with this also technical experts, and with this combined know-how specific to standards and sectors, and has significant focus on some practical issues. So next, let's just continue with our agenda for today's topic. It's assessing suppliers through routine and non-routine audits. We will go through some general information in introduction part. Then we will focus on routine auditing for new suppliers, and with focus of auditing a supplier's safety and quality system and auditing a supplier's quality of service. We will continue with also routine auditing for existing suppliers for our company. Later on, continue with non-routine auditing, quality audits as a part of non-routine audit, customer complaints, adverse microbiological trends, adverse media reports, and after product withdrawals. At the end, we will have some short conclusion and, of course, discussion with questions and answers. So practically here you can see our next 1 hour plan, but before we continue, I would like you to answer just the next question, which will help us shape some further steps, and Simon will put up next poll on a side. So the question is, do you have auditors from your company, or do you engage external for process of auditing the suppliers? And there is answers, yes, internally, we have internal auditors for supplier audits. Yes, externally, where we just engage some external auditing company or auditors.
both we have internal and also external, and we don't have the process of auditing the supplier. So this is valuable information for us just to check.
Okay, Vladimir, I've loaded the poll on the sidebar, and attendees are voting. And what we've got at the moment, we've got 36% internal, 5% use external, 41% use both, and 15% don't do any auditing of their supply base.
Okay, for now, interesting. I didn't expect that there is this high percentage for using both. Mainly it's focused on internally, you know, just because they are using their own employees that are trained, and maybe have some more faith in you know, like internal employees who knows what company wants or what the retailer wants. But this is interesting to engage both external and internal, 41%. Okay, so we can continue. And on the next slides, we will just go through everything. Of course, through this course, you will collect the questions. You can put it on a side in a chat, and later we can discuss it. So for the first part, many or most companies have produced like some guidelines and specific codes of practice which detail the management control systems that they expect to find in their suppliers of some branded goods, let's say. So they also spell out the conditions of the structure and equipment that they believe is necessary to comply with legal requirements and ensure some product safety consistently. So let's say that auditing is simply a check against these criteria to ensure that the supplier is complying with these codes and guidelines and is maintaining the system and conditions adequately. So, for example, in the next slides, I will talk about us as a company or as a retailer who engage the supplier. So from this part, so we as a retailer or as a company, we have a responsibility and a commercial need to ensure that products carrying our name are safe and legal, and that information provided about the product is legal, decent, honest, and truthful. So to this end, the audit is usually designed primarily to ensure that the supplier has not breached the defined guidelines, so thereby providing the company or us with due diligence defense. So, however, the opportunity can also be taken to identify the ways in which standards can be improved by some tightening controls where necessary, and thereby moving both also supplier but also us forward in improving quality and service for customer. So an audit is frequently planned in advance to ensure that the supplier has all of the appropriate people and documentation available on the day. And practically today with this we are going to talk about two types of audits. So this is a routine and non-routine audits. For routine audits, practically it's approval of a new supplier, and a lot of you are familiar with this process, but we will go in more detail. And the second would be also routine, is a regular check on an existing supplier to ensure continued compliance with the previously approved quality management system. So this is usually described as a due diligence audit, and it is carried out by our internal, let's say, auditors, but also it could be performed by auditors that are engaged externally. The second part are non-routine audits, and they can cover like a serious interruption of supply, or variable product quality noticed, or high customer complaint level, adverse microbiological trend reported, also adverse media reports, anonymous tip-off, and product withdrawal. So in next few slides we will go more detailedly to this. When we talk about routine auditing, specifically new suppliers, and this auditing of potential suppliers should include a very thorough examination of their hazard analysis critical control point, like HCCP, and quality management system, both of course on paper and in practice. And there must be a thorough inspection of the factory to assess whether or not the standards of maintenance and cleanliness comply with some company or producer code of practice or retailer's code of practice, etc. So many companies would like to supply major companies or retailers, so it is common practice to send out a pre-audit questionnaire. The format of this may vary depending upon the type of product manufactured. So risk assessment is often used to define the conditions required and the frequency of re-audit and the number and frequency of product checks that should be carried out by both the supplier and also the company that is supplied. The pre-audit questionnaire will therefore be something like highly detailed for suppliers of products such as chilled-ready meals, which must be manufactured in a high-care environment, and less detailed for low-risk products such as produce packers, etc. So the replies to this question may eliminate some potential suppliers. And this is important for our next practical step. However, if there is a real customer need, then we may send the company a copy of their own quality management system manual and help them to work through and comply with the content. So this is most likely to occur with a new business, unused to dealing with major companies or retailers. So when we talk about routine auditing for some new suppliers, we must mention auditing supplier safety and quality system. And one indicator of the suitability of a supplier would be the existence of a fully documented safety and quality management system. So this should be detailed in a manual which contains a description of all the control measures taken within the factory and stipulates the frequency with which all checks are carried out. So together with the name of the most senior manager accountable for this measure, for example. So systems change continuously within a factory as a response to the introduction of new equipment, ingredients, and process. And an auditor would therefore expect to see some evidence that the management system was under continuous review. So this is easily checked by looking at an index showing revision numbers and dates, for example. So also, in this audit, there is some additional opportunity to check documentation during the factory inspection on the day when system can be viewed in action as well as in retrospect. So the existence of an, for example, ISO certified system would not necessarily ensure approval as the quality management system required, because often specific to the company and matters of supreme importance to them might not be covered by the certification process. Let's say, for example, so we have the requirements on the welfare of animals before and during slaughter, and this is not covered with ISO certification process, but might form a major part of our company policy. So adherence to this policy would therefore be equal as important as ISO certification. So in this we can have like some legal requirements that are really necessary or the basics, but also we can have some requirements that are specific for our company, like some sustainability goals or some environmental goals, etc. So but primarily we are concerned with the safety of practically the customer. So the existence of a fully documented HACCP plan is a legal requirement, and therefore some detailed examination of this is essential before approval. Also, an auditor may ask to see the HACCP plan for a particular product in advance of the visit, as the quality of this would be a good indicator of the management understanding of HACCP. However, the existence of a plan could also not be enough. You know, during the factory inspection, the auditor should specifically ask departmental managers, line leaders, and operatives where the critical points in the area are and how often they are monitored. So also this ability to answer additional questions on why these points are critical would give a measure of the effectiveness of some hygiene training. The design of quality control sheets can assist in reinforcing this knowledge by indicating where the critical control points are in some process and what action should be taken. Also, the approval audit must include a check on the frequency of staff training. This is very important, together with the adequacy of training records. And some further key requirement would be the traceability of all ingredients from the coding on incoming raw materials through processing into the finished packs. Also, at the end, some key indicator of management commitment to quality and safety would be some regular internal audits of the systems of work. So this must be well documented and show that actions has been taken to correct any non-compliance practically with the written quality management system. So this is practically the when we are talking about auditing supplier safety and quality systems. And one important thing here is that we can also put within this approval we can use some scoring systems before approval, but some extreme caution is needed with this. Because it may be possible to obtain a high score while failing to control a critical point in the process, so thereby putting some customers at risk. So any scoring system must employ some weighting procedure which takes account of the risk assessment of the product type. Also, very important here is that there is no substitute for the experience of a knowledgeable and well-trained auditor, and this is something to remember when we are auditing supplier safety and quality systems. Second part in routine audit are auditing of suppliers' practical quality of service. So auditing of a new supplier should not concentrate only on legal and some safety issues, and we should have some various requirements as to capacity, shelf life, and delivery deadlines, etc. So in conversations and with responsible persons between our company and retailer, we should get some more valuable information about these various requirements. So approval, for example, I will take approval of factory to supply 500 stores with a chilled short life product. If the factory only has refrigeration and packaging equipment to supply 200 stores daily, it will usually end in short deliveries or some poor quality. So allowance should be made for additional volume requirements for promotion and supply to other customers of the factory, and it must be considered. So here in this part, the auditor should therefore check aspects such as cooking capacity, line speed, cooling capacity, etc. at the time of the visit to ensure that the predetermined requirements can be met. Also, some further things like in auditing supplier quality of service would be when short shelf life products such as poultry meat may also present other difficulties, and here the auditor must consider measures that could be taken to extend shelf life sometimes, because sometimes we can plan some import from abroad and this can cause difficulties. So modified atmosphere packaging is particularly useful in these circumstances, and the auditor may decide that provision of this is a condition of supply. Also here we can think about the quality of raw materials in use, and raw materials in use must be appropriate for the product, and the knowledge of suitable ingredients suppliers is very valuable to an auditor. So when we talk about some production, for example, it's let's say fish-ready meals. They should be serviced by companies with vessels that fish in areas that provide the best quality, and we expect that they use some best quality. However, during the audit, raw material supply records should be checked to ensure that the fish is coming from the quoted suppliers, for example. Also, we should check the authenticity of ingredients which are claimed to be free from genetic modification or suitable for vegetarians, and it also can be checked at this stage. Second thing would be type of packaging, and the type of packaging used by suppliers can also be critical. If supply is required in plastic bottles, then a visit to a plant that can only fill into glass would be a waste of both parts' time. So this is why we should focus on specific requirements that will affect quality of service, and here for sure, something to remember is that a certain amount of pre-visiting questioning will ensure the best use of limited time. And also here we can use a pre-audit questionnaire just to understand supplier's process completely, so we can go in more details. Okay. Next thing is also routine auditing. We finish with new suppliers, and here is routine auditing for existing suppliers. And we can say that, for example, we had a new supplier last year, and everything was great, for example, but we are continuing next year with this supplier, and he is now existing supplier. And here we have also some characteristics regarding existing suppliers. So if we look at routine auditing, and if we look at legislation, it requires that company, like when we are engaging some suppliers, take all reasonable steps to ensure that the product we are selling or producing are safe. So there should be a specification for each product that lists required checks to demonstrate this, and clear documentary evidence must be produced by the supplier to show that appropriate control measures are in place. So it is therefore necessary to carry out some regular revisits to ensure that the management system originally approved are still functioning, and that no changes have been made without the prior approval of our company or retailer. So the frequency of these due diligence audits should be based on some risk assessment, and for example, audits of high care factories producing highly perishable products such as sandwiches or cooked prawns should be more frequent than those of factories which produce more stable products such as rice or canned goods. So before carrying out a routine audit, the supplier file should be reviewed and the previous audit report checked. So with the new audit, it gives the opportunity to ensure that matters raised previously have been dealt with, and if process control check sheets were found to have incorrect tolerances, then the pre-audit letter should ask for more recent records of this process to be made available. Also, this should then be inspected to verify that corrective actions was taken. Also, if we talk about training records were not up to date, then the auditor should ensure that this non-compliance with approved procedure has been put right. Also, what is important is that when we look at the records for existing supply, if the records are requested in advance, then the time taken for the audit is profitably spent, and then opportunities provided to review the management system and ensure that they are still providing us with assurance that products are safe, legal, and to the required quality. Here we also have to think about auditor that we are sending. For example, if we send 1 year one auditor that is from our company, and next year we are sending second auditor that has never been before to existing supplier, he has to refer to last report, he has to have a good knowledge of maybe to look in pre-questionnaire to see how company is working, and to prepare himself so he can check practically in a good way, like the previous auditor, and have a valuable data. Okay, so this is practically for a routine auditing for new and existing suppliers. And for non-routine auditing, in addition to routine audits, it is occasionally necessary to carry out further audits of a factory as a result of information obtained from our own quality auditing system, such as customer complaints records or random quality control testings. And the results of tests by outside sources such as laboratories or Department of Health or consumer associates, some anonymous tip-offs or adverse media reports might also lead to an audit. So these audits may be carried out unannounced, particularly if there are grounds for suspicion or a whole industry reviews is practically under the way. So I'm not sure for your companies, did you had experience with these unannounced audits, but we would like to know. So please, Simon, if you can just set up this next pool is, and the question is, do you agree with the unannounced audits in your company? And the answer is yes, no, and not sure.
Okay. Yes, I've loaded that into the sidebar. Do you agree with unannounced audits? And currently, we have around 70% do agree with unannounced audits, 20%, 15% no, they do not agree, and 15% are unsure. So the vast majority do agree with the principle.
Okay. For me, as if I would work in a company that is producing something, I would for sure agree with unannounced audits, because I would like to have all the necessary things under the control and always be ready for an audit. And for me, that would be also agree to have some unannounced audits. But let's say that if you are a supplier to the retailer, for sure you will have your contract where these unannounced audits are, you know, like set in these contracts, and you must agree practically to unannounced audits, because they have some conditions, of course. But at the end, it all comes to the customer safety. So for me, it's also yes. So okay, if we agreed with these unannounced audits, then we can see what are these practically non-routine audits and what are they focusing. So we are continuing. So the first thing in non-routine audits would be the quality audit. So what is here? For example, in our production or retail, we need to perform some quality checks, like practically first line check on reception or central distribution depots, and some random opening of cases and packs by trained auditors with checks against key quality parameters might indicate that products were being delivered out of specification. For example, tomatoes of the wrong size or degree of ripeness. And also, if we talk about retail, store staff occasionally report to head office that quality has deteriorated. An example of this could be a poor evisceration or excessive feeders on chicken supplied for rotisseries in store. And some regular head office tastings on a rota basis might detect varying viscosity of cream, sauces, or other liquid products. So these variances may be dealt with initially by telephone call to the supplier. However, if quality fails to return to the tolerances agreed within the specification, then it might be necessary to carry out a quality audit. So this will usually follow a different format from the routine variety. So if the product has a long shelf life, then the auditor should ask for samples from each production still in stock to be brought out for the audit. There may also be retained shelf life samples from each production. The records for the last 10 productions should be obtained and may need to be asked for in advance of the visit, as they may be stored off-site. And finally, some store visit before the audit to collect samples currently on sale will allow also the company, but also a supplier, to assess products together and identify where and why deviations have taken place. So audits in these circumstances might concentrate on incoming raw material checks if poor quality ingredients are evident. Also, it could focus on some hygiene problems. If the product was not holding up for its full shelf life, then the check would concentrate on looking for unacceptable delays in processing and might require a detailed traceability exercise to identify the cause. And in all of these circumstances, auditors should ensure that they are fully familiar with the process specification and finished product quality checks before they visit, so that they can concentrate on the areas most likely to have caused the problems. Practically, at the final, it is essential that during this audit, the monitoring frequencies are reviewed to ensure that potential problems are spotted and dealt with in the future, and that staff are retrained where necessary on the standards that are required for this product. So this is first part, practically focusing on quality audit. And this is also non-routine audit. Second is non-routine audits, but also focused on customer complaints. So we are obliged to analyze compliance data and act as soon as a problem is perceived. So we will record the details of type of compliant and the codings on packs brought to the let's say customer service desk, and also we will have some reports to maybe customer service center or to the buyer or technical manager at head office. So let's say for product, if there is a sudden spate of glass, metal, or other foreign body contaminants or sickness reports from one batch of the product, then this will be followed up immediately by telephone calls to inform the supplier, or mails, for example, and the decision to withdraw a batch from sale and a visit to the supplier to check procedures and records. Visits, in this case, may be carried out if complaints data collected over a period of weeks indicated that the level of compliance had increased. So here we can use some trend, like this trend analysis uses sales data collected from checkout scanning of long life product or production figures from short life products to calculate the number of complaints per million products sold. And let's say a level of 10 complaints per million sold is often the target. Also, it is essential to check the sales figures, as a very successful promotion might lead to an increase in actual number of complaints, although when viewed against sales data, the rate of complaint may be downwards. Also, complaints are grouped into type. We can say in glass, metal, bone, gristle, low meat content, and then if there is a cause for concern because of a specific type of complaint has increased, an audit will be necessary. So when complaints are caused specifically by poor raw material quality, poor process control, unacceptable foreign bodies, then audit should be specifically targeted. Also, during these audits, walk around the site collecting any small unnecessary items into a plastic bag might have the desired impact on online management. And if there is an increase in vegetable matter in vegetarian products or bone compliance in meat, then extensive sampling of any both raw materials or examination of butchering and filleting standards in-house should be carried out to identify the source of compliance. Also, here it is very important to check traceability records, and they can indicate that one raw material supplier is implicated. Then specific action must be agreed to reduce the level of compliance. And in all cases, the visit, checks carried out, and action taken must be carefully documented. And this is very important, and records must be retained in our company files as evidence that the auditor has carried out. Because there could be reasonable checks as part of the retailer's duty to preserve some product integrity. Okay, next practically is adverse microbiological trends. And for many types of products, there will be a microbiological specification, as we mentioned earlier, a specification of quality specification of product. And practically the supplier will have to agree the number of samples of each product to be analyzed on the day of or day following production and through the shelf life. And the standards applied are usually based on legislation or good manufacturing practice, practically GMP. So here we can have some measures of the effectiveness, and also the specification we can put in some tree level. For example, the specification usually we focus on three levels: a target based on GMP, a higher level at which the retailer should be informed on the day the result is obtained, and the withdrawal level at which the product will be deemed to be unsafe, unacceptable on the day of product, or unlikely to be sound at the agreed end of shelf life. When we talk about an audit, in these circumstances, they should concentrate on the microbiological quality of incoming raw materials to ensure that they are sound, and should check on variation in processing or storage times to ensure that microorganisms level are being reduced to a minimum, and that there is effective control of the chill chain
if this is practically relevant. So again, action must always be agreed and documented at the end of the audit, and immediate rechecks agreed. Also, in addition, the frequency of checks should be reviewed to ensure that the problem can be prevented from recurring. So this is for also part with these adverse microbiological trends when we can perform some non-routine auditing. Next are practically very interesting. It is adverse media reports, and this is, I must say, in past years very, let's say, popular, and this means that there is a number of reports and surveys carried out by a local authority on behalf of some ministry responsible for food, or sometimes it is the surveys performed by, some non-governmental organizations, and with these surveys you get the results of these studies, and that are frequently reported in the mainstream press, and practically they are focusing on some specific problems and issues with the products. And with this, for example, meat content of sausages, water content of hams, and some more, let's say, maybe problematic issues. And when there is identified these products in sale and they are below acceptable quality standards, then of course we need to protect reputation by carrying out some thorough investigation. So the analytical results may be affected by many factors. So in addition to checking processing methods and records, the auditor should, if necessary, be accompanied by a company analyst or consultant with specific expertise in this area. And there have also been, for example, some reports like pesticide residues in fruit juices, and we can just call here horticulturists during the audit that could help, or maybe in some other cases microbiologists, like occasion when audit food technologists is accompanied by a microbiologist that would have more been most helpful. So on these types of occasions, a delayed audit would enable the best informed people to be assembled by both the company and suppliers, so that the audit can examine all contributory factors thoroughly and ensure that more complex control methods are put in place for the future if this is found necessary. So also here, however, unannounced visits should also be considered if spot checks on current activities are deemed necessary. Especially in near past, is there is receive of anonymous telephone calls from people who describe totally unacceptable conditions or practices within premises producing some brand products, and the calls are usually related to poor quality ingredients, dirty equipment, abuse of agreed quality parameters, etc. Even here, some use of child labor, for example. An auditor who knows the supply base well will have spotted indications of this during their routine work monitoring quality, shelf life, and customer complaints. However, in these cases, an unannounced visit may be the only way to elect the truth. But at the end, when we talk about these informations, we must say that auditors should bear in mind that occasionally complaints are made by disregarded employees and could be malicious. So therefore, it is important to keep an open mind. At the very end, we have some non-routine audits after product withdrawals. And we must say that here mistakes occur and products must be withdrawn from sale for either safety reasons or because of unacceptable quality defects. And there is then a need to audit suppliers to ensure that control systems are in place to prevent that type of incident from recurring. The timing practically of this audit will depend upon the seriousness of the incident and the past history of the supplier and the auditor's knowledge of an confidence in the management. So if there is a serious safety or quality issue, then all further production will be halted until an audit is carried out.
In this case, an immediate audit is necessary unless an alternative source of supply is available. So if we are a company and we have another supplier who can pick up the required volume immediately, then audit can be delayed for, let's say, 48 hours to a week. Also, what is here important is that we have some differences depending on a small or big supplier, and here rejection of products from a small factory with limited resources would require a rapid visit to ensure that our company has confidence that corrective action has been taken. But if the problem has been caused by an ingredient, then the retailer might have more knowledge of alternative source of supply than a small manufacturer, and their intervention would be appreciated. However, if the same time of incident occurred in a product from a large company with some extensive technical resources, they might be able to solve the problem themselves, and the audit could be delayed until alternative ingredients have been sourced. So the audit here would focus upon why the defects was not spotted before withdrawal became necessary, and discussion would center on raw material inspection, handling policy, and records, and etc. So this is important at the product withdrawal, and I must say that for me, with this practically part, we can shape all non-routine audits. But I'm sure that you, through this presentation, also got all the interesting things regarding some additional non-routine, for example, audits, and I think we can of course discuss at the end. Audits that are carried out by us or by some let's say external company could be regarded as a chore that is undertaken to fulfill some legal requirements, and also completion of a pre-designed tick sheet practically might be seen as the whole purpose of the audit by technologists with little understanding of company requirements. However, if both the retailer or company and supplier prepare in advance and approach the audit in some spirit of cooperation, then the audit provides an opportunity to review procedures, change monitoring frequencies, and eliminate tests no longer required. In other words, the audit becomes an opportunity to move both businesses forward to mutual and some customer advantage at the end. So with this, practically, I think we got through all interesting data about routine and non-routine auditing, and at the end, I would like to hear what are your questions and to discuss more further. I know for this, let's say 50 minutes or 45 minutes, it is not enough to go something deeply like what kind of checklist we would use, or what kind of plan, or how we will define, or how we will inform, how we will communicate with our new supplier. But let's say for this free webinar, I must say that this is a great amount of information. So with this, we are finishing, and I'm expecting Simon with that will read me your questions. And thank you for listening to me. So I will now listen to the questions and try to answer it. Okay, Simon.
Yeah.
Do you hear me? So I at the end. So.
Can you hear me, Vladimir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, my voice is just coming out of your. I don't know where my voice is coming back. It's reverberating a little bit. If you can do anything. Thanks very much, Vladimir. Excellent overview. As you said, in 45 minutes, it's not possible to go into great detail, but it's a great overview, and it has stimulated a lot of comments and questions in the sidebar, especially when you got to the word unannounced, because it raises, it pricks a few boils that really, because there is a rise in unannounced audits, and the reason for it is because it's plain and clear to see that a lot of organisations are not operating their food safety quality management systems as written down, practically they're not operating them 24/7, 365 days a year, and they're standing on parade for, let's say, an external audit from a customer or a certification body. But then that leads to questions of, well, why unannounced audits? Why is it going wrong? And then it's that old thing about culture and production not doing what they're supposed to be doing, can't get buy-in, etc., etc. So it creates a lot of discussion.
Yes, I know. Well, you know, when we talk about big retailers in world, for sure, in contracts, when you are a supplier for big retailers, you need to say that you will, of course, go through some predefined questionnaire to explain how you are processing, how you are producing food, what are the main steps, etc. Also, in this questionnaire, you will find some specific requirements that you are maybe not performing, and the retailer wants from you. Let's say these retailers that are part of the Global Food Safety Initiative, for example, in contract, when you want to supply these retailers, you need to of course, say that practically you will agree with unannounced audits, and in this reason you must be always prepared, and your food safety must be on a top level. But not just this, because this could be just the basics. Food safety could be just the basics. There is additional some requirements we mentioned, like animal welfare. We mentioned like prohibition of child work, some sustainable goals, etc., etc. So this is practically on a supplier to cover all basics and greater things.
Yeah, just on a slight deviation, some of the people got onto the subject of, well, what they do is to prepare for audits, they cover, let's say QA, the quality department, they cover the backs of production and end up crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure, non-conformities. But in a way, doing the job so that then production are not taking ownership for the food safety quality management system. What do you think of that as a principle? I can understand where a quality manager is coming from to try and reduce non-conformities, but is that a good idea in the long run?
No, because auditor sees everything. So if you see that ticks and as a quality managers and quality departments, like just show to the line operator, don't show that. Like with the eyes and everything, auditors see everything, and this is not a good thing, because when you are auditing, you need to find not just non-conformities, but also room to improve the production. And with audits, you get the insight of a whole, practically, of the whole system, how it operates, and quality must go through whole system, and food safety must go through whole system, not just depending on the quality department or a quality manager. What will happen with food safety and quality when quality manager quits and goes to other company?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, my advice was that yes, you should help production by training them, giving them all the tools, making the systems and procedures as efficient and lean as possible. So you're helping them to help themselves, but ultimately you shouldn't do the job because you can't be there 24/7. They need to take ownership of it, and that's it. In a way, if as an internal auditor you find non-conformities that are then not dealt with and corrected by the relevant departments, it's their problem if it ends up as an external supplier non-conformity, because you've done your bit. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, and when in some previous webinars, we talked about internal auditing as practically the process that could be used to empower employees on operational or line managers, and to make through internal audit awareness of the audit process, but also about their clear responsibilities in part of food safety. So internal audit is very powerful tool, and in many companies they forget how to use internal audit. Internal audit exists on papers. Internal audit is performed by internal auditor for, let's say, previous 3 years in the same way, no non-conformities, etc. But if you have a strict internal audit that is totally focused, that is also covering some customer complaints, also covering some previous audits, also covering some additional requirements, then you can, through this, just have your company or organization prepared for any unannounced audit.
Yeah, yeah, audits that really add value. Yeah, and they're not just done as just like mechanically blah blah blah. They're actually serving a purpose. Okay, just one question about what do you do if you've got a large amount of suppliers? Like somebody in the sidebar said 700 suppliers. How would you realistically go about auditing those suppliers?
Yeah, first 7,000. That's a pretty big.
700.
700. Okay, 700. Okay. So 700, I would build some kind of auditing system, just to check like basics, and this would be first I will send, of course, the pre-questionnaire to all companies, and through this pre-questionnaire maybe we can put some questions where we can see who could be a critical company or who is not also. And that would be for me enough maybe for first year, because this is a great number of suppliers. Next year, because first year I will track also customer complaints, I will track non-conformity of these products, reception, quality controls, etc. And through 1 year with pre-questionnaire and with all of these checks and analyze, I will know for next year who will be on my list for auditing.
Yeah.
And for sure, it will not be 700. It will be 250, for example. Yeah. And I will audit them as a critical in first year, and in the next year I will continue with additional ones.
Yeah.
Because that's really big number. Really big number.
Yeah. So say, for example, ingredients would be like maybe like a high risk, packaging would be like medium, etc., etc.
Yes.
Okay. And what about if they hold GFSI certification? Can we just say, yeah, they hold GFSI certification from an accredited certification body, they got a grade A star, we don't need to audit them?
Yeah, you know what? I'm simply not believer. In previous year, I have done a lot of audits, and I must say, in these cases, I would go just if we are starting working with the company, I would do like some new first audit, just to check the company whether it has a GFSI certificate or not. In case that this company is very good and it has a GFSI recognized certificate, next year I will not perform the audit, but of course I will track customer complaints, etc. In case that this company is really bad, no matter does it has a GFSI certificate, I would perform the audit next year. In case that company does not have GFSI recognized audit, I would audit it every year.
Yeah. Okay, and maybe actually, once all GFSI standards make it mandatory to have unannounced audits, maybe we can trust the GFSI audits more if they're all unannounced, because that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
Possibly. Anyway, I think there's loads of comments and chat in the sidebar. We can't pick all of it up now. We'll pick through that, and if there is anything, we'll follow up on that.
Okay.
As well, it's obvious that we could go on a lot longer, and we have actually got planned. Is it on the 21st of September? Vladimir.
Yes, yes, yes.
We have a longer, in fact, 4-hour practical. Actually, that's the wrong one. Am I sharing the right screen there? No. Let me just share the screen. Let me see. Just bear with me. Can you see that screen? Can you see that screen, Vladimir?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so on the 21st of Wednesday, the 21st of September, at 1 p.m. UK time till 5 p.m. UK time, which is 8 a.m. till midday Eastern, we have a 4-hour practical supplier auditor training course, yes, with Vladimir. So do you want to just explain a little bit more about that, Vladimir?
Yes, yes, of course. So this is practically some training that IFSQN and we discussed about providing some participants a training with something more detailed. So here participants will get some practical knowledge of implementation of different models for supplier evaluation and also evaluation of service providers with complete categorization of all suppliers in one form or list. And after finishing this point, participant can use this process in definition of goals and improvements in food safety systems in any organization food chain, not just in their organization. Also, in this second part of training, participants will further improve their knowledge with the process of supplier audit. And today we talk just about a part of supplier audit, but in this webinar we can talk a little deeper, and through this they will get some familiar with practical use and development of auditing program, auditors, audit checklist, audit plan, and at the end participants will have complete knowledge on how to be independent in performing the audit of supplier and how to use data for categorization of suppliers and further development of food safety goals. And also with this webinar on 21st, participants will get knowledge on how to perform the whole process of supplier evaluation and supplier audit in their organization, or as a, for example, some consultant for any organization in a food chain. And practically, course is delivered in these 4 sections. First is introduction with the food standards demands about supplier evaluation and some practical models of supplier evaluation. Then second part would focus on practical implementation of supplier evaluation. Also we will talk about evaluation of service suppliers, categorization, defining of goals and improvements according to results of evaluation. Third part will focus on models of audits and practical use of supplier audits, like development of program, training of auditors, checklist, audit plan. And fourth part will focus on performing of supplier audit, like process of reporting, categorization, defining of goals, improvements, and etc. And on the IFSQN, they can see all the lists of topics that are covered. So if you can just, Simon, slide a bit down.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, if you can just slide it down, you can see a list of topics that are covered. This is practically more detail will be talked about all of these topics during the presentation, and also some of additional materials will be sent to participants. So
okay,
I think it is very detailed.
Yeah, so that's on the Wednesday, the 21st of September. It's $97. It's 4 hours, and you can watch it live, but you will also receive the recording. So if you can't attend on the day, you can watch it at your leisure the next day, a week later, whatever. And as Vladimir said, obviously you'll get a certificate of attendance for the training, and you will get some templates that will help you get started with supplier auditing. So it's very comprehensive. So if you click that in the sidebar and just have a browse on the website there, and if you're interested, you can either purchase or email us if you need more information. Okay. I think for now, Vladimir, I think we're gonna probably let you go now. if that's all right. Have you? You've done a good job today. I know you've been working very hard actually doing audits. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very familiar with the quality managers and quality departments, you know.
Yeah. So we'll let you. Well, it's weekend now, actually. So you're going to have a couple of days off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much on behalf of myself and the IFSQN and everybody that's attended today and who will watch this recording in the future, Vladimir. Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you on the 21st for the training. Okay.
Yeah, I hope to see also a lot of other participants, and it would be really interesting to go through all that topics and discuss.
And go in more depth. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Vladimir. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Goodbye to all.
Okay, I've loaded your training certificate into the sidebar, so you can download that now. Thanks for your participation today. Lots of comments, lots of great interaction. Hope to see some of you on the 21st of September for that training. I also hope to see some of you on the 14th of September for Food Safety Live. So enjoy your weekend. Friday's the best day of the week, Food Safety Friday. Happy Friday. Have an enjoyable weekend, and I'll speak to you all real soon. Take care. Thank you.